Okay, I was just making sure you put another shirt on because I ain't want you like flexing for our guest or nothing. Because I know how you try to get. So that's why we came to
Oh
the two
boy,
piece
listen,
shirt.
boy. Let me tell you something. Boy, I really wanted to say something to you just then, but I need to hold a ratchet in right now because we got a special guest, and I don't want to sully this interview with my pigness, with my toxic masculinity. So, how about we introduce our guest?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let me introduce you to the Queen of St. Pete, Noemi No Vasquez. Welcome to the show. I just see them punches coming. Oh my goodness. Thank you,
You got to
champ.
get it together, bro. You can't get like this when a pretty woman get on camera. You can't start acting like you don't know how to control yourself, bro. Get it together.
Listen, he went out and bought a brand new hat and even brushed his teeth today, so this must be a special show.
That's what I'm talking about.
See?
I do what I can. However I can do it, I do it.
Wow. We've been doing this show for 5 years, and I'm so glad we were actually able to get the timing right and get you on this show. You were one of the first guests we actually sought after for an interview, so thank you for coming on and giving us that opportunity.
Heck yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure, man.
So before he starts asking you crazy questions and you get upset and leave the show, any shout outs you want to give before?
Shout out to the entire team. No, man. There's a whole bunch of y'all out there supporting me through my wins, through my losses. It doesn't matter. Y'all are there cheering Team No, and I love y'all.
Hey, shout out to Team No from Fighter Share
Team
Nation.
No.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I'm going to jump right in. What caused you to the sport of boxing?
Well, now it's just a part of my whole life. I mean, I've done it for so long, and I love it so much. I mean, I've met so many great people. I've traveled to so many countries and so many cities. The experience behind boxing, not just the fight, because the fight is a very small amount of the whole experience, but just everything that surrounds it, man, is just so beautiful. It's amazing to me how a sport that is so violent can be so beautiful to me, and I just love it. I'm drawn to it. Even when I'm done fighting, I'll be working as a cut woman still. I really enjoy being a part of all that. So, I mean, it's just pure love, man. Love at first sight.
Awesome. And we can tell you're in the gym now because we can hear people jumping in the background.
Ding, ding, ding.
So, Champ, I mean, you've been doing this for a while. You travel, like you say, you travel the world. We're going to talk about that too, because I know you got some crazy stories. But just for the sake of being a young woman getting started in boxing, here in Florida is a little different than starting in other places because our boxing culture, our boxing tradition doesn't run as long as some places. So I'm sure sometimes you may have been the only woman in the gym when you went to a lot of these gyms. Were you treated as just another fighter, or sometimes did you really have to straighten some guys out?
I've had a little bit of both. I've had, like the gyms that know who I am and that have seen me work, they're always showing super respect, especially because I've been in it so long already, but a lot of places that don't know me and they see this little old, 115-pound girl walk in and really start smashing the bag, they're like, wait, who is this? Who is this chick? And they're just kind of wondering then.
Okay. What would you say has been your worst experience in boxing?
Oh man. I've had a few of them. Of course, my first loss was probably one of my worst experiences. I mean, now I've kind of learned how to lose a little bit more gracefully. Because in the sport of boxing, I mean, there's only one Mayweather. A lot of us have wins, a lot of us have losses, especially those of us who are willing to fight anybody. A lot of other fighters would have an uglier record if everybody was willing to fight anybody on some real warrior-ish, But my first loss versus Kenya Enriquez was on the year anniversary of my mama's death. She had passed away a year before. So that was a tough one to swallow. It was my first loss. I was like 8-0 already, and I lost to her, and I was mourning my mother still. So that was definitely the hardest loss and the hardest part I've had to face throughout this career.
So you actually just walked me right into my next question, champ. We've been knowing you for quite some time. I remember the first time we saw you at Bulldog Boxing, and we've kind of been seeing you move around here and there. I remember when you started with Coach Sherman. Now you've been with Tony Morgan for quite some time, and you've amassed a lot of experience. But one thing that we don't think about enough is what it's like to be a woman in boxing, but more importantly, a mother. You have a beautiful daughter that I follow you on social media. I know she's a great track athlete. Can you just give us a little bit of insight into what being a mother is like while still being an active fighter?
Yeah, sometimes it's a really great thing because, especially having her, of course, it helps me to have a daughter like her because she's always been there. She wants to be a part of it. She's not, she's so low key, and on top of it, she's also an athlete now. She runs track. She likes to play women's football. So the older she gets, the more we're able to bond and kind of understand each other. And I mean, it's working. I got really lucky to have a great girl. If she would have been anything like I was at her age, then it wouldn't have been so easy. But she's a straight A student, so that helps me stay focused on the things I need to, and she's able to focus on what she's got to. So it's almost like I say growing up together because I still feel like I'm young, even though I'm in my 30s already. But it feels like we're growing up together. She's learning a lot of things. I'm learning a lot of things. We're both in our sport. We're both focused. So, I mean, I'm fortunate, man. I'm fortunate and blessed to have a great kid to be my team. She's my team.
Awesome. Now, if you can look back at 14-year-old Noemi, what advice would you give her with the life that you lived?
Leave those boys alone. Leave those boys alone and say no to drugs.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Hey, and we laughing, but that's some real deal advice because we all know that those two things for most young people is where they tend to fall off the horse, and they spend so many years trying to recover for those mistakes. So I'm right there with you, champ. I co-signed at 1,000%.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't, at that age, you're not really even thinking about it. You're just kind of flowing. You're being young, you're just having a good time, but you don't realize it just kind of sneaks up on you. And all of a sudden you're an adult with this lifestyle that wasn't really a good preparation for what you're trying to do in your 30s, so it kind of holds you back a little bit, but we don't realize at such a young age,
We've all been down that road. Trust me. Going forward, what's next for you in the ring?
Well, right now it's kind of slow. I'm not gonna lie to you, just because of COVID and all that. I mean, I've had several contracts signed, and almost all of those fights have fallen off because of promotional issues and whatnot. We were supposed to fight former Olympian Marlene Esparza a couple times. We signed a couple contracts, and then last minute it just ended up not happening. So who's to say, man? But until then, I'm in the gym. I'm staying ready because a lot of times these opportunities will come on a 2-week notice. And even though I call them monsters, they're only opportunities against monsters. I don't like to say no. And I like to at least be in shape to be able to go 6 or 8 rounds, with anybody at that matter. The win might not, happen a lot of times. Last minute fight against like a former Olympian, but I don't care. I'm a real warrior, man. I want to say yes, and I want to be ready to go. So we're just staying ready.
Man, that takes a lot of ovaries there, champ, and I commend you on that. I hope and I wish that a lot more people would take that warrior mentality. I mean, I think the business of boxing sometimes gets in the way more than we would like to think, but we also know we see proof that a lot of these guys just kind of don't really want that smoke. So if we have more guys to act like the warrior like you, we get better fights. I want to go back to another question. I wanted to lead into that after the motherhood question I asked you. They talk about equal pay, equal compensation for women, right? But one of the things that people say is that women don't sell, right? There's just not a market for that. I find it hard to believe because I think that women, by and large, do most of the influencing. Have you ever had a problem with trying to make yourself more marketable or more appealing and found that maybe that some of the things that you probably thought you should do that you probably didn't do? And what I mean by that is could be like, maybe some type of photo shoot, maybe a certain type of interview on a certain platform, just things like that.
I feel like, well, at least when I first started in the game of boxing, now my mentality is it has matured some. But when I first started boxing, I had the mindset where, like you said, women aren't a big draw. A lot of guys aren't really interested in watching two girls beat the crap out of each other. They're not really interested in that. So I started using more of the sex sells. I started doing the sexy photo shoots and things like that. And what I should have done was, okay, yeah, do that, but still focus just as hard on the game, on the actual boxing and the actual fight. And now, almost 10 years into the game, is where I'm really kind of trying to tighten up and not worry so much about the photo shoots. Like, it is what it is, but I need to work more. I kind of started backwards. Now I'm really paying attention to more of the technique. I think women right now are getting a much bigger platform. For example, Golden Boy is putting them more on the cards. You've got different promoters that are really starting to pay attention. Mayweather, the one in New York, Heather Hardy's got a few girls now. So, I mean, it's coming up right now. It's a slow development, but little by little, they're focusing more on the skill, and it's not so much just the sex that you have to sell,
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because unfortunately, when you look at, I'm not going to say American sport, but I am going to say the American media, it does tend to draw a sex symbol out of any type of sport, and especially when you look at women's professional football, because I know you said your daughter does that as well. And when you look at like the Hooters Football League, I think that's what it's called.
And you got the lingerie football league also.
Right. Do you, trying to ask this question correctly, do you think it diminishes the overall skill, talent, and ability of women to make them have to be sexy to be successful?
Absolutely. Because a lot of times people don't take the time to pay attention so much to the skill. They're more worried they're more concerned with the other factors, like how she dresses and the sex selling and all that. So it had, for example, women like me, instead of focusing on like the skill, just worried about looking good in a photo shoot or a video shoot and things like that. So now I feel like it's kind of changing slowly. But I mean, I believe like it's something that's going to be stuck for a while. Reality is, a lot of people don't want to see two women in there beating the shit out of each other. It's just not attractive. Like even though there's a lot of us that are hard and tough and can really do some things, that's not what we represent to a lot of people, and they're not comfortable with seeing that part.
Would you endorse your daughter if she wanted to go into the fight business?
I'll endorse whatever she wants to do, because I realize at this age that wherever your passion is, it doesn't matter who understands it, and it's not your job to try to convince them that it's your passion. You just that's going to be what takes you places. That's what's going to take you all over the world. Whatever it is, if there's passion involved, that's what you should do, because the way I see it is kind of like God behind you. That passion that you're feeling, that's kind of like what everybody else would call God, So you should go with it, and you're going to be all right.
Okay.
So, Champ, now to transition more into the in-ring stuff for me, you've been in the ring with two phenomenal fighters that most of us probably should know, and that's Heather Hardy twice. Then you were just in with Suleiman Rabina. You talked about getting in with Marlena Esperanza, another Olympian. Listen, you running a murderer's role here. What was it like preparing for those two fights with those two women in particular?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What was it like preparing for Heather Hardy and Suleiman Rabina when you fought those two women?
It definitely wasn't. It wasn't something I was expecting to do, I guess, so much when I first started boxing, because I mean, those girls, they've had names for a long time, and then you have a little girl like me from St. Petersburg, Florida, that didn't go to the Olympics, that didn't go, win a national, and I had never won a national tournament. I competed at a few, but I didn't have that title. So, I mean, I felt honored in one sense because I've been watching them for a long time, and in another sense, I was like, oh shit, like I don't even have that kind of sparring. Like how do you prepare for it? But that's where that warrior mindset kind of comes in. You're like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm here to fight. I'm here to fight. The fans what they want. And that's what we do every single fight.
Gotcha. Now, since you're still in the fight game and you've been in there for so long, who are some other women that you say we need to keep an eye out for, especially coming from the Central Florida area?
Oh man, there's a whole lot. I like a local that's really good, and she just turned pro recently with Tiara Brown. I think she's is a underrated dog for now, but she'll come up here shortly. A lot of people will know who she is. There's a lot of those Mexican fighters that are no joke. Some of those Mexican fighters that I fought. Selene Urbina should do something too. She just fought Marlon Esparza and had her first loss. She's a good one to watch. I'm interested to see how Sanisha Estrada does. She's still undefeated. There's a lot of names out there that everybody should be paying attention to. Man. There's a lot of good fighters.
Okay.
No, that's dope that you mentioned Tiara Brown. Hopefully, now that you mentioned her name, we'll get a little clout. We can get her on the show. We know that she has a tremendous story. She's down from Fort Myers, which is where this guy's, partially from, his better half anyway. So we would love to get her on the show. My next question on this is something that's, I know you probably get this a lot. How many, or can you remember the first time in a fight when you really got buzzed, when you were really hurt? And what did you do to recover?
The first time it happened was my first loss, Kenya Enriquez. It was my first fight away. I was 8-0 and all of my 8 fights. Well, I'm sorry, that's a lie. I had one somewhere else, but most of my fights had been here. They were all I pretty much won them pretty convincingly. So the first time I went against Kenya Enriquez, this was the year after Mom passed. She was the first real deal Mexican fighter I had gone with. And on top of that, she was unbelievably sharp. She was really skilled. So that was the first time where I got hit, where I was like, oh, where am I? It really hit me on a totally different kind of meter there. It was a tough one. It was so tough that we brought her in for a sparring camp or a fight camp, matter of fact.
Wow.
We had to bring her in sometime after that, and she helped me get ready for another fight.
Wow. Quick question.
She's awesome though. Kenya Enriquez is a great one to keep your eyes on. She's 23-1 or 21-1, something like that. She's getting WBO champion. She's another great one to keep your eye on.
Okay. Now, here's my question. How important is what your trainer says in the corner between the rounds? Are you ever able to really take that and go out there and implement what they say, or do you go really back to instinct?
We fight about that all the time. He gets so mad at me. And he asked me this very same question. He's like, do you not hear what I'm telling you? Because you're not doing any of it. So yeah, it's in the back of your mind, but a lot of times when you're in there, I mean, you start off thinking about it, or you'll think about it here and there, but it's more of a reaction thing when you're in there. It's life or death. Any kind of mistake, so I'll know what he told me to do, but maybe I won't find the opening, or I won't be able to create the opening like he would like to. So that's definitely something I get yelled at a lot of.
Has he ever given you some? Huh?
Yeah, he'll yell at me, wondering if I'm listening or not.
Has he ever given you any advice and you wanted to look at him and go, "Are you watching the fight?"
Yep.
Okay.
I sure have. I think I may have even said things similar. Like I said, we fight about that all the time.
Wow. Okay, champ. So you've been around the world, New Zealand, Beijing. Think you've been to Europe as well before, right? I think you fought.
I went to India. I fought in India. we've been to Mexico a few times, 3 times. We fought in Mexico, so all over. It's been the best part of boxing, by the way.
So give us a couple of stories on what it was like. I'm interested to hear what India and what China was like, because those two countries don't seem to be as progressive as we like to think they are when it comes to gender, when it comes to women. So give me a little bit of background on what it was like fighting in India and China, if you would.
You can tell that it's that women boxing is still growing over there. I was proud to even be mixed in with those countries, because like you said, it's not like it's, you know, making a whole lot of noise, women's boxing in a place like India or a place like China. You know, it's not really making a big bang, and it's true, it's really, really new. So I mean, I just really felt honored more than anything. I mean, the experience in a place like that is incredible. I don't think there's a whole lot of respect yet out there. I think we have just a little bit more respect here, and you know how much that is. It's still not even a whole lot yet. But hey, at least they're showcasing them a lot. A lot of these promotions are big. The one we fought for in China was a really big stadium. I mean, it got packed. You know, you would see maybe like with the magnitude of that place it was probably something similar to an event in Vegas. Like that's how big this event was. You know, and they had women like us on there. I mean, it was an honor. It was a huge honor. You can tell it's growing, but I mean, just to be a part of the early stages is a really really great accomplishment on our part, you know.
That's amazing. I was talking to Melissa Saintville about her trip to, I think it was to Australia, and she was talking about just some of the issues that women incur, like promoters, once you get somewhere, you know, not getting paid.
New Zealand. She was talking about New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I was at that same event.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
By the way, they paid us before we even went in, but
wow. How was that event?
I remember them going through that. I remember them going through that. I think they were having personal issues with the promotions. Like they were being kind of, it seemed like they were being, I guess, so graceful towards the promotions. I'm going to use that word carefully. You know, the promotion was not feeling so happy with how they were behaving. So I think that had something to do with that, but who knows?
Have you ever run into that though, where, you know, your pay came up short, or it was late, or you didn't get paid for a fight you went to?
Never.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, never. And I'm thankful to God, you know, but because I know a lot of other girls have different stories and different, you know, events happen to them, but thank God everybody has always kind of came through on their word, and it's been graceful, thankfully.
Nice.
Now I got a question for you that you probably don't get often. Being a mother and being a fighter, and I'm assuming probably being a wife or at the least a fiance or a girlfriend, what is it like for Noemi to balance her relationships while being a fighter?
That's definitely the biggest challenge here, especially because my other half is my trainer.
Wow,
so,
okay.
We have, you know,
there it is.
Yeah, it's real love.
There we have it, guys. That's the answer, real love.
To endure what we have, it's definitely, you know, it takes it. I mean, I'm thankful every day it's still around, you know, because it's that much of a challenge. But you know, it goes down to, I guess, how bad do you want it, or how much, you know, do y'all help each other and uplift each other. And I've got a good partner for the most part. You know, we fight like cats and dogs, but we also love each other real hard. So balance.
Got you. Now, what are you looking at as far as exit strategy, or what's your next career after boxing, and when do you think you'll be moving into that?
We have just recently started moving into that. I've just started doing cut work, so there will be fighters whose corners I'm working. I'm bringing the cut medicine. I'm working on their cuts. I've probably been doing this maybe a year or 2 years now. That way it's, you know, clever exit strategy to still have one foot in the game without being in there taking taking the blows and doing all that. So that's my exit strategy.
And then there'll be a lot of work for that. So yes,
right, and I love it because it's a way to keep your foot in without being taking the damage and whatnot. It's close to that time, so I'd like to be full blown once I'm ready to hang them up.
Now, we know you have a warrior's heart and a warrior's mentality. That's never been in question. This question is not that you would not fight them, but who is one woman you would never have wanted to step in the ring with?
Oh, man, there's a few of them. Honestly, as much as I love her, and I probably would still fight her for the right amount of money. I mean, I'm just going to keep it real. If they offer the right amount of money, I'll still fight her. I wouldn't be so crazy about getting in the ring with Tanisha Estrada. Just because, I mean, I've been watching her for a long time, and she's different. She's awkward. She switches her stances, left-handed, right-handed. She's got more of that amateur style where she's busy but she's has so much experience. She's incredibly sharp on top of being awkward. So I wouldn't really want to fight her, because she's the type of fighter that'll make you look real stupid. Like how strong you are, it don't matter. How, all that stuff all the time, it don't
Okay, we missed the last part of what you said.
But don't get it twisted. I'll still fight her. They offering that right amount of money.
I got you. Well, we got the Badger here, and we've been trying to get him in the octagon with Amanda Nunes, and he keeps backing down. Can you give him some encouragement that he'd be okay? At least he'd make it out the first round.
Man, look.
Oh, come on.
Thank you, champ, for being honest. This man been trying to get my ass beat for about 3 months now, and I don't know what he's up against, bro. I told him what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do. I'm not messing with that woman, bro. Period. So stop trying to make that happen, bro.
Right. This is what it all boils down to. I'm gonna ask you this: are you gonna make any money off of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then do it. And if you gotta take a knee, take a knee.
Yeah.
But at least you left with a few $1,000s extra in 30 seconds.
Yes.
Throw a few punches, make it exciting, and then take a knee. She catch you 100, take a knee, and leave with you 10 grand.
and follow what Wesley Snipes said in White Man Can't Jump. Listen to the woman.
That's right.
Unfortunately, champ, I try to bring a little integrity to this platform, and I'm afraid that if I have to take a knee, it's gonna be bad. I'm really gonna quit, and I don't want to be known as a quitter. So I'm not. I just rather not. That's all. I'm good.
Don't worry. I work your corner, so I'll throw the towel in for you. You don't have to worry about it.
There you go. You ain't got no control, and you're $10,000 richer.
See?
That's a nice vacation.
I like the way she thinks, man. Come on,
that's a nice vacation.
Speaking of Amanda Nunes, champ,
I've gone into a couple fights, even though I know I'm a warrior and I know I'm strong. There's been a couple fights that I signed a contract to where I was like, "Oh shit."
See?
Oh well, you gotta give it your heart. Let everybody see that you tried, and if you die, you die.
If you die, you die.
No. That's not how this works, me, champ. I'm not doing it. Listen, I got another question for you though. Keeping with that warrior mentality, we're starting to see some women, mainly just probably Clarissa Shields, but we're starting to see women try to make those transitions, crossing those boundaries from boxing to MMA, and vice versa. We got Paige Van Zandt that left UFC. Now she's with Bare Knuckle FC. I'm sorry. Have you ever thought about getting an octagon, champ?
Yes, for a while I was. I don't anymore just because I'm not a big fan of getting kicked or doing the kicking. Bare knuckle, the opportunity has been presented a few times, and honestly, I'm a little bit more tempted here and there, especially because it doesn't seem like a lot of those girls have a whole lot of skill. But I have noticed that even when you win those fights, you look like hell. Like even though you won, even though you did really well, like your face.
Yeah,
It's tough.
yeah.
It's
Term
tough,
hamburger
yeah.
meat applies.
Although I've been tempted, I mean, like everything else, it boils down to the money. They offer real good
Right.
money. I mean, I'll fight. I might get in there and do the bare knuckle 1 or 2 times. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And it's not, and
Well,
they still
hey.
wrap your hands. So I remember the original bare knuckle boxing in the backyards. It was literally bare knuckle.
Listen,
Yeah.
that quarter inch wrap below the knuckles, that don't mean nothing, bro. I'm with the champ on this. I've seen it firsthand. But yeah, they do pay well. So hey, bare knuckle, if y'all out there, Kevin, you know what I'm saying? Anybody, champ say she might get in there, man. Y'all cut the check, man. Give her what she's asking for, man. Make it worth a while.
I'm definitely flirting with the idea, especially along with my exit strategy. Like that might be just what I need to like finish me off.
See?
What I need to be like, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't know more.
Champ, I know you got to get back to training. One last thing. We have a game we call 5 rounds, 1 punch. Are you willing to play it?
Hell yeah.
Okay. So whatever I ask you, you got to say the first thing that comes to your mind. You ready?
All right.
Enchiladas or steak and fries?
Steak and fries for sure.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I know.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. Since you're from St. Pete, Rays or Bucks?
I'm gonna go with Bucks just because I like football better than baseball. Baseball is kind of slow for me.
Yes.
So Bucks. I like Bucks. I like the Bucks.
I gotta hand you that one. Okay. All right. Would you rather your daughter remember you for what you've done or for what you've said?
For what I've done. For what I've done, because I believe it means more than what you say,
Okay. What means more, love or respect?
Ooh. I'd have to go with respect on this one.
Okay.
There can't be love without respect. There can't be no love without respect.
And finally, I had a couple questions floating around in my head, so I had to choose the one that might lead you to come back again in the future. Mayweather, Leonard, or Ali?
All right, I'm gonna go with Ali just because he's an icon, man. He's an icon. Yeah, and Mayweather is also an icon.
We had to give you that one. Appreciate it, champ. Thank you for playing.
Yeah,
with us.
anytime.
Next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. Hey, best to your trainer and your daughter.
Thank you so much. I'll tell them.
And how can we follow you on social media?
I'm on everything. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, everything at Noemi Bosques. Noemi, and my last name is Bosques, Bosques. Find me, hit me up.
Team No in the house. Thank you
Team
so
No-No.
much, champ. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Peace.
Wow, that was awesome. I'm so glad she gave us that interview, bro.
Yeah, man. Champ doing a thing out there. She got some plans, and you can't beat a woman with a plan.
That's
so
true.
I'm looking forward to see what her future holds for her, man. She's definitely a free spirit though. That's dope.
I like that. You can't beat a woman with a plan, but you can get beaten by a woman with a bat. So, yeah, those are two.
That wasn't Nietzsche. That was Brew, by the way. So just in case I wonder where they came from, that's where it came from.
Those are two good rules to live by.